This presentation is brought to you by Crystal Schuneman, Stryker Medical Supplies, for Business Research and Analysis Course, Module 6, Research Project. Dr. Homer Stryker, an orthopedic surgeon from Michigan, found that certain medical products didn't meet his patients' needs. He started coming up with his own ideas and inventing new ones. In 1941, he started a company with a goal to help patients lead healthier, more active lives through products and services that make surgery and recovery simpler, faster, and more effective. Stryker is one of the world's leading medical technology companies. The company offers a diverse array of innovative products and services in orthopedics, medical and surgical, and neurotechnology and spine, which leads the way in patient recovery and hospital outcomes. Stryker has products in 100 countries around the world, and they have 26,000 employees. The employees have to live up to a company-wide corporate compliance. They pride themselves on doing the right thing for their patients, customers, and employees. They have an army of compliance committees and compliance officers committed to living up to their commitment to compliance. They have a high level of expectations to follow all the laws and regulations to stay compliant. Their employees make a personal commitment to act with unquestionable integrity and honor, and in full compliance with the ethical and legal standards set out in their code of conduct. Stryker's mission statement: together with our customers, we are driven to make healthcare better. They do this by developing innovative and state-of-the-art medical supplies and implants. These supplies and devices offer patients a chance to live fuller, healthier lives. As the healthcare environment changes, so do the challenges. Each year, they're challenged to find new and better ways to do things. On the other end, each year, more and more lawsuits are brought against medical companies, and Stryker has had some negative publicity in regards to the hip recall, and whether or not it was put on the market ethically. On July 6, 2012, Stryker issued a voluntary recall of its Rejuvenate modular neck stem and ABG2 modular neck stem hip implants. They were manufactured in New Jersey, and it's estimated that over 30,000 people were affected by the recall, and 20,000 of them were sold in the United States. This recall applies to any two-part implant sold in 2009 of February until July 6, 2012. Stryker decided to recall the hip voluntarily because of the potential for failure and corrosion. Traditional hip implants are made of a one-piece stem and femoral neck, but the recalled hip implants were made of two parts. The reason for the two parts was so the surgeon could adjust the implant according to anatomy and choose the length and size to fit the patient. Due to the risk found to be associated with the implant, Stryker announced their voluntary recall. As a result of the metal being released into the body, the types of complications that occurred were too risky. Due to the information given to the doctors from Stryker, they started doing revision surgeries. They also went through x-rays, MRIs, CT scans, and such to check for inflammation, buildup, and other complications. Patients all over the world had to undergo a second hip replacement because the one they received were believed to be unsafe. The hip was on the market for over 3 years before anyone had decided it was unsafe. Whose ethical responsibility was it to approve this product? Who decided it was okay for the patients to receive the product? Is Stryker making healthcare better? Were they ethical? What types of strategies will Stryker use in the future to prevent this recall? Have there been any other recalls made by Stryker? With a company this large, there have been several breakthrough inventions, and unfortunately, they have also had some bumps along the way. As part of the commitment to support patients and surgeons affected by the recall, they are reimbursing patients for testing, treatment, and revision surgeries, and other costs related to the recall. They're taking full responsibility and want to be the best for their customers. Stryker agreed to pay a sum of greater than $1 billion for the recall in an effort to provide their customers with the best support possible. They established the Stryker Patient Care Line, which can be reached Monday through Saturday for anyone who has questions regarding the recall. Stryker will seize every opportunity to find a better way and are dedicated to act as a catalyst for change. They're driven by a passion for a more sustainable and responsible healthcare sector and by the difference that it can make in the quality of patient care. Being an industry-leading medical supply company comes with a lot of social expectations. Customers, clients, and investors all expect the highest quality products and service to meet their wants and needs. Stryker has built a very good reputation and continues to surpass its competition. Stryker will always have a place in our healthcare facility and keep inventing bigger and better products every year. Since Stryker is such a large company, the best research method to start with would be a quantitative method. Finding out what people are thinking and want through surveys and data analysis will give us a lot of information. I want to know if people still trust Stryker. Will there be a time that customers allow Stryker back into their lives without thinking negatively about the recall? By using a method of survey questions, we will ask the questions based on five different variables: strongly disagree, disagree, neither agree nor disagree, agree, and strongly agree. These variables will allow the customers to give their feedback based on feelings and opinions about Stryker. One question we will ask people involved in the recall is, how likely are you to get another hip revision? For those customers that already have had a hip revision, I want to know if you need another knee replacement, how likely are you to go through with the surgery? Using those two questions, it will give us a good idea of how much this customer trusts Stryker products. They already had one or more Stryker products implanted into their body, and this one didn't last. To make matters worse, it was proven to be potentially dangerous. Going back to the patients who were affected by the recall, I would like to ask them if they believe there were any negative effects from their first hip, physically or medically. If they did receive a settlement, do they feel that they were compensated fairly? Do they believe that Stryker is to blame for the recall? Who is responsible? Do they feel their doctors are to blame? Is it because of them that they used a faulty hip joint? These questions are going to generate many different views and opinions from customers who endured the pain and suffering of the recalled hip joint. These questions will help Stryker decide if they need to take extra steps to mend relationships with their customers. The con with these questions is that the specific group of customers had to go through all the pain and suffering of the hip replacement, not once, but twice. And because it's such an invasive surgery to begin with, these people are probably very angry this happened to them. Some people hold on to angry differently, and their answers may reflect their emotions. Looking specifically at the patients who already had the hip revision, these patients already trusted Stryker with a different product and trusted another doctor to do their hip. I want to know if they feel better now that the hip revision is complete. Can you tell the difference between the joints? Whose ethical responsibility was it to approve the product? Who decided it was okay for the patients to receive the product? Was it Stryker's responsibility to keep the product off the market? The FDA is trained to test products over and over again to make sure they're safe for humans to use and consume. Hip replacements are considered a Class 3 and are very high risk for humans. Because of this, any new product goes through a very thorough and extensive testing process before it gets to the market. The pros of these ethical considerations for Stryker would be minimal. However, after seeing what type of damage can be done with such a dangerous product, they will take longer steps to create and invent their human implants in the future. The measurement scale that we will use the most is ordinal. The ordinal scale of measurement will allow us to measure the level of intensity using the ranking system. It will help describe and rank their experiences and feelings using a system of 1 to 5. This system will allow the research to have a median and mode to the research. The research I will be conducting will include participants who were part of the Stryker hip recall and who may or may not have had a second surgery. The participants have had experienced firsthand what it's like to be part of the recall, and many of them have had to endure a second hip. By using the ordinal scale of measurement for our research, it will allow us to evaluate their overall experience with Stryker and the products. This scale allows us to determine the intensity between their responses. There is going to be 40 survey questions, and among those participants, there will be 5 females and 5 males participants. Using the ordinal scale of measurement, my hypothesis is Stryker makes healthcare better, and voluntarily recalling the hip was the ethical choice. By conducting this research, we will be trying to evoke participants' emotions. Emotions that occur may be frustrated, dissatisfied, disappointed, or irritated. Stryker strives to achieve customer satisfaction, so they hope to accomplish this after the settlement's issued. Different types of emotions can cause measurement errors. To counteract these errors, we will ask participants to express why they chose the answers. If the answer is poor or inferior, it will electronically trigger another question to obtain more information. The research is planned to be an electronic survey, and it will be automatically submitted and calculated as the responses come in. Since most people who receive the hip are middle-aged or older, it might pose a limitation to the amount of responses. So we may need to send out the survey in the mail also in order to increase our participation. Another limitation may be accessing patient information. Because of the rules of HIPAA, we may not be able to release it to all of our patients. Stryker is one of the world-leading medical companies, and we would like the patients to know that their voice and opinion matters. When I distributed this survey, I included an even number of male and female participants in hopes to get an open and honest opinion from all of them. Overall, the participants were senior citizens, 80% of them over 71 years of age. Some of them had 1 hip replacement, and 60% of them have had the 1 hip. 30% had 2, and 10% had 3. The groups involved in the survey were 20% were between 56 and 70 years of age, 50% were over 71. When asked to verify their marital status, 60% were married. Overall, the 100% of the participants had insurance, and 80% of them pay for their own private insurance. Out of the people that were involved in the survey, all of them were part of the recall and settlement. 7 of them have already received the settlement, and all of the participants believe that the settlement offered by Stryker was necessary. Overall, I believe there were mixed feelings regarding whether or not the settlement was satisfying, but all the people surveyed used a lawyer for the settlement and got the revision surgery. When asked if the patients believed the FDA was responsible, 90% responded yes, and 100% of them believed the FDA could have prevented the recall. 40% blamed Stryker, and 60% say they would use Stryker products again. If asked to do another hip replacement, 90% of them said they would go through with it. Question 29 was Stryker ethical in how they handled the recall? 10% disagree, 20% were neutral, 20% strongly agree, and 50% agree. Even though the participants think that Stryker makes a good implant, 70% of them also think that they rushed the product, along with 90% agree that the recall could have been avoided. 40% of the participants agree that they healed properly. 70% believe they'll see long-term effects. Overall, if they trust Stryker, 70% responded they agreed that they will. And 80% agree that they make a good medical product and that they also maintain good customer relationships. In conclusion, Stryker is ethical in how they conducted business in healthcare. They will continue to lead the way in offering a diverse array of medical products They will continue to find ways to improve patient recovery and hospital outcomes. The recall was a bump in the road to continued success, but it will not slow them down. They will continue to find ways to succeed and impress their customers.